Hello and welcome, Red Devils United. Hope you're having a good time. Well, we are back with another edition of Red Devils Magazine Show, and today we're going to talk about the Premier League restart and all things Manchester United. So stay tuned for more. Okay, so the games are starting 17th of June with Aston Villa and Sheffield kicking off the proceedings, and then Manchester City playing against Arsenal to wrap up the first fixtures of this restart. And then on the 19th, Man United head into a big game against Tottenham at Old Trafford. Now, that game will define our race for the top four. And in preparation for that game, the Man United played two friendlies against West Brom at Old Trafford last week. So, Sagar, what do you think about those friendlies and the general, fitness levels of our players or the preparedness of our players to kick off this restart?
I think there were three scheduled friendlies that United was supposed to play, right? And I think one of them got cancelled with Stoke City, if I'm not wrong, because there was a certain player who tested positive just before the game, and they had
I
to
think it was
abandon the game.
the manager, Stoke
Yeah,
City manager who
possibly,
tested positive.
possibly, yeah. So I think the next two games were against West Brom, and I think United
Mm-hmm.
won like 3-1 both of the games, if I'm not wrong.
Now we lost the first game 3-1,
Okay,
and we won the second. No, we lost the first one 2-1, and we won the
2-1,
second friendly 3-1. But
3-1.
it was like played back to back,
Right,
two
right,
90-minute games back to back. That
right.
would have been a huge test for a lot of these players, like who are playing games after 3 months, and in the case of Marcus Rashford and Pogba, after
Hmm.
about like seven months, give or take, or 6 months.
Right. Also, I think Andres Pereira scored two goals, which I really hope does not make Solskjaer put him in the starting team and
Oh no,
start
for
games.
sure.
Hopefully, because he
Even
scored
Mark.
a banger of a goal, though. If you have seen the highlights, he scored a
Mm-hmm.
really good goal. Two goals he scored. So I think two games might not be enough for United players to actually come back to full match fitness, which we expect to see in regular Premier League games. But for sure, like it's a good time. It's like uh, players get to spend 90 minutes on the pitch and test where their levels are and work on it. But for sure, we are going to see some kind of slow plays happening during the Tottenham game where players
Mm.
will slowly get up to the pace and start moving the ball much faster. So that's definitely going to happen. So we have to brace for it, where the first 15 minutes are going to be super, super slow during that
Looking at the game ahead, like Tottenham is missing Dele Alli because of a
time.
suspension. He
Right,
came under fire for one of those racist internet shares
right.
where he was mimicking some coronavirus
Yeah,
patients or something.
yeah.
So Dele Alli will be missing this huge game for Tottenham, but the rest of the squad, I believe, is injury free and is ready to go. So, what do you think? This would still be a big test for Man United, even though we are back to full strength.
Yeah, for sure. Like this game is going to be super crucial for United because I personally think that if United are able to win this game, they have a sure shot chance at getting into top four. So, do you think that's the case as well, like for you? Because given the fixtures, the run of fixtures we have, like United have going forward, I definitely think we can make it if we have 9 games. If we win like 7 or 8, possibly, and draw one, we make it into top four. So, what are your thoughts about it? Like, do you think the Tottenham game can be a catalyst for the United team to maybe push for four or maybe third if possible?
I think, yeah, the game against Tottenham is definitely a huge one because Mourinho has a point to prove.
Right,
Tottenham
for
is
sure.
winless
Yes.
in their last 6 games. They were dumped out of the Champions League as well
Yeah.
before the games were called off.
Mm.
So United is facing a huge task against Tottenham. The game's away in Tottenham Stadium. I don't know how,
Yeah.
empty
I think
stadiums
home and
would
away
have
does
an
not.
effect,
Yeah, for sure.
but but still, it will be a huge,
Yeah,
huge game that we need to win. And Solskjaer will, also get an impetus, a positive impetus from this game if he wins this, because this will set us up for the remainder of the fixtures. And as you said, we have some of the easiest run
easiest.
of
Yeah,
fixtures
yeah,
amongst all the teams
yeah.
because we play Sheffield, Norwich, and Brighton next, and
Right.
those teams have nothing to play for except Sheffield.
Right. Yeah,
So
that game is going to be tricky because last time around it finished 3-3.
3-3
Yeah.
or
Other aspect which has been in news a lot is I'm not going to say Jadon Sancho because it has been spoken about like a million times or something like that. So we'll avoid that. But the fact that what formation United are going to put up against Tottenham is going to be super interesting. So what do you think is going to be the midfield? Because we all know the defense is going to be the same, the
Mhm.
forward lineup is going to have the same three players. But what do you think about the midfield? Like, what's your combination going to be?
I think Solskjaer has an interesting dilemma at his hand.
Yeah,
And like even though Andres Pereira scored 2 goals, I don't see him getting into the
no,
squad
no way.
and affecting the
I really
formation.
hope that does
But
not happen.
now the thing that we have to see is like Pogba getting fit,
Right.
Marcus Rashford also getting fit and probably starting,
Yeah.
and Bruno Fernandes, the linchpin, like he was the force behind the
Right.
squad through from January through March when the games were still going on. So for me, I think this is a very good time for Solskjaer to move to a 4-3-3
Right.
instead of persisting with a 4-2-3-1, because in a 4-2-3-1 I think either of Pogba or Bruno would have to sacrifice their best positions to play at the
Right.
back in a defensive capability, in a
Sure.
defensive role, sorry. And that's not something that we want. With the 4-3-3, though, we can release both Bruno and Pogba together in attacking roles and just keep one holding midfielder. That ways, the other teams will have a job on their hands to stop,
Yeah.
two of our attacking players instead of just one in either Pogba or Bruno. So
Yeah.
for me, that 4-3-3 will be very important moving towards the end of the season. And I hope Solskjaer plays both Pogba and
And
Bruno in the midfield in that 4-3-3 with Rashford,
who do
Martial,
you want the
James.
third midfielder to be?
That's a tough question, but I would go with Scott McTominay just because
Okay.
he's a Mancunian and that boy has shown a lot of grit, and tenacity this season to play for the badge and not just, for himself.
Hmm.
So for me, Scotty takes that little edge over Fred.
Yeah.
What
Uh,
about you? What are your thoughts on
Yeah, I
how we may
definitely
line up?
agree with the fact that Pogba and Bruno should be starting, given Fernandez actually plays up top, like very close to the striker and makes things happen closer to the penalty box. So
Hmm.
that's going to happen for sure. And Pogba is kind of a dynamic box to box player, so he will have those. He definitely has those range of long passes, putting
Hmm.
like clearing up our wingers. So that's going to happen. But
Like
I
absolutely,
disagree.
that's a really
Yeah,
good point you made. The
yeah,
long passes of Pogba and short
yeah.
passes,
That's
Bruno.
that's an interesting dynamic to look out for, like during the games. But the fact that I disagree with the fact that you said Scott McTominay should start. Nothing against him, but Fred has really like proven himself this season, like proving everyone wrong. Because I think we also totally wrote him off in terms of having any chance of getting into the United team, right? But he proved us all wrong. Exciting factor is the fact is this thing that younger players are getting a lot of chances. We saw a
Yeah.
lot of the younger players playing in the friendlies, so we can definitely expect Soldier to give them some game time because now we have five substitutions, so that can happen
Hmm.
where James Garner, Dylan Levitt, or uh, Mendy can
Greenwood.
get some chances. Yeah, Greenwood definitely, and Brandon Williams. So they are going to see a lot of game time, and it will be great for their improvement. So,
We had this discussion for the race to top four, and we
hmm,
talked about Man United's fixture list. Now
right.
let's look at our two closest competitors, Leicester and Chelsea.
Hmm,
Chelsea is like just 3 points clear of us. They made some really good moves in the transfer market and making
right.
big noises. And Hakim Ziyech might just become available,
Yeah.
to play as a starter
That's yeah,
for some of the fixtures.
yeah,
But Chelsea has fixtures against Leicester, Man City, Liverpool, and Aston Villa.
yeah,
I am bringing in Aston Villa because they want to
yeah,
fight off relegation, so
yeah.
they'll be giving their all.
Hmm.
They have four really tricky fixtures. And do you think Chelsea can slip up and let United into top four, or do you think that'll be a very tricky battle right up until the last game?
Yeah, like you said, it's going to be super tricky for Chelsea. But I think if you go over, like you will be doing in some time, if you go over the Leicester fixtures, that's much more trickier than what Chelsea have at hand. So if you can go over that, I think Chelsea will definitely finish top four. Maybe it's going to be like Liverpool for sure, City, Chelsea, and United,
Mm-hmm.
where Leicester actually drop out of top four. That's going to happen, and the reason why is when you talk about the fixture list.
Yeah, Leicester play Chelsea on the 28th, Everton, Arsenal,
Yeah.
Sheffield, Tottenham, man. Yeah, Leicester have a they have a
Yeah,
task at their hand on
yeah,
maintaining their
yeah,
top four spot.
yeah. It's just the fact that they have an 8 point lead is what might save them if Chelsea and United start dropping points. But if Chelsea and United have decent results in the remaining games, Leicester are going to struggle for sure.
Yeah, but I'm like really excited to see Man United, heading into the business end of the game and business end of the season,
Yeah,
like with some easier fixtures. But this has been our undoing. Like before
exactly,
I let
exactly.
go of this
Yes,
edition of
yes.
the show, the easier fixtures have seen
Is
us
where we
falter.
struggle. Yeah, yeah.
And against you saw those games against Crystal Palace at the start of the season where we lost
Burnley.
2-1. Then
Yeah,
there was Burnley, we lost 2-0, I think.
yeah.
Reverse fixture.
Yep.
Newcastle, we lost against
Newcastle,
Newcastle.
exactly. Yeah.
Watford as well. There was this one game against
Yeah.
Watford where we
I think you
lost
mentioned
2-0.
Bournemouth as well. We dropped points
Bournemouth, yeah,
there.
Josh King.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, yeah, for sure.
these are the games where, even though I'm excited that we have an easy list, but at the back of my mind, I know
Yeah.
that Man United have been, very inconsistent over the
Mm.
last three seasons
Mm.
against these lesser teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know how we will fare, even though we have a really strong, midfield for the first time in a long time
But if
going
like
towards the end.
Solskjaer, like if Solskjaer is able to find the right combination, we might be able to
Mhm.
break those smaller teams at this moment. Because in the past, that's what actually was troubling United a lot, where we were not able to break those smaller teams down, break the defenses, and score a goal when they usually scored the first goal and they just sat back. So I think if Solskjaer has been working on something during the quarantine period, maybe we can see some
Mhm.
changes happening and hope for the best.
Yeah, I hope he's been watching more than just Netflix
Yeah, for
during
sure.
during this
Not like us, right?
quarantine period. Yes. So, that brings us towards the end of our discussion here. It's just, I think, 4 more days or 3 more days in
Yeah,
some parts of the world to go for the Premier League restart. The Ital no, not the Italian Serie A. The La Liga started off
no,
today as well. So
yeah,
games all over the continent of Europe have
right.
started.
Have fun.
Lots to see and lots to talk about in the following few weeks. United, that's it from us. And before we head out, please do press that like button and put in your comments in the comment section below to let us know what you think about this restart or what you think about Pogba and Bruno playing together for the first time on the competitive stage. Like we are excited, but are you excited? Please let us know and share this video with every Man United fan or a Premier League fan that you know. And until next time, ta-da!
Make sure you subscribe to the channel and also press the bell icon to stay updated on all the latest happenings regarding Manchester United.